I've raised my brother since we were children, but when I needed his help, he prioritized his girlfriend over me. Now, a year later, he wishes to reconnect, but I'm not sure if I can forgive him. At 28, I never imagined I would share this tale, but recent occurrences have made me doubt all my beliefs about family and loyalty. This is the story of my younger brother, Ben, who is 24, and myself detailing how our bond disintegrated despite years of sacrifice and hardship. Our story begins in a modest, dilapidated home on Cleveland's fringe. I was 8, Ben only 4, when our father left us behind. The memory is vivid. Rain drumming outside, the day Dad lost his steel mill job. The arguments with Mom had grown frequent, their shouts reverberating off the sparse walls. That night, he stuffed a bag, pressed a kiss to Ben's and my foreheads, and stepped through the threshold. That was the last glimpse we had of him. Mom tried her best to keep it together after Dad left, but it was clear she was struggling. She'd always been prone to bouts of sadness, but after Dad's departure, it was like a switch had been flipped. Some days she couldn't even get out of bed. I started taking on more responsibilities around the house, making sure Ben was fed, helping him with his homework, getting him ready for school. As time passed, our struggles intensified. Mom's battle with depression deepened, leading her to seek solace in alcohol. It became common for me to return from school to discover her unconscious on the sofa, surrounded by a sea of empty bottles. I took it upon myself to tidy up, prepare dinner for Ben and myself, and maintain as much normalcy as possible. By age 12, I had essentially taken on the role of head of the household. To supplement our income, I began mowing lawns and taking on various tasks in our neighborhood. The extra income was necessary. Mom struggled to hold down a job, and when she managed to work, the majority of her earnings were spent on alcohol. Ben wasn't an easy kid to deal with during this time. He was angry and confused, acting out at school and at home. I lost count of how many times I had to leave my after-school job to pick him up from the principal's office. But I never gave up on him. I remember one night when Ben was about 10, he broke down crying, asking why Dad left and why Mom was always sick. I held him and promised that I'd always be there for him, no matter what. At the age of 16, I landed my first significant job at a neighborhood grocery store. Balancing school and caring for Ben, I worked as many hours as possible. It was tiring, yet my resolve to provide him with a better life than mine was unwavering. To save money, I would forego my school lunches, frequently enduring hunger so that Ben could enjoy a decent meal. There was one particularly rough period when I was seen. Mom lost her job again and went on a weeks-long bender. We were behind on rent and utilities, and I was worried we'd be evicted. I remember staying up late, poring over bills, trying to figure out how to stretch my meager paycheck to cover everything. Ben found me crying at the kitchen table one night, overwhelmed by it all. Instead of panicking, he sat with me and helped me sort through the bills. It was the first time I felt like we were truly in this together. Upon turning 18, I faced the difficult choice of moving out and taking Ben with me. My mother was unable to look after him, and his safety was my concern. Securing a small apartment and assuming legal guardianship of Ben was challenging, but I persevered, working 2 jobs and completing high school online. It was the most demanding experience of my life, yet witnessing Ben's progress made every effort worthwhile. As the years passed, the situation gradually got better. I climbed the ranks at the grocery store and finally became a manager. Ben adapted to his new school and even became part of the basketball team. I took on additional shifts to afford his uniforms and gear, committed to providing him with the most normal life achievable. When Ben graduated high school, I was so proud I thought my heart would burst. He was the first in our family to get a diploma, and I felt like all our struggles had been worth it. Ben decided to go to community college, and I supported him fully, picking up even more hours at work to help pay for his books and tuition. Meanwhile, I started taking night classes in IT. It was tough, balancing work, Ben's needs, and my own education, but I was determined to build a better future for us. There were nights when I'd be up until 3 a.m. studying, only to have to be at work by 7 a.m., but I pushed through. Fast forward to last year. After years of hard work and certifications, I finally landed a job in IT at a local tech startup. It was a dream come true, better pay, better hours, and a chance to use the skills I'd worked so hard to acquire. Ben had just finished community college and was working at a local restaurant. Things were looking up for both of us. Suddenly, the startup collapsed. The loss of their main investor meant I was unexpectedly jobless. Initially, I wasn't concerned. My savings seemed sufficient, and I was optimistic about securing new employment swiftly. However, as weeks stretched into months, my savings began to deplete. Despite my best efforts, submitting job applications, freelancing, and even resuming nighttime grocery deliveries, the financial strain was becoming increasingly evident. 3 months ago, I realized I couldn't make rent. I had never felt so defeated. After years of struggle and sacrifice, I was right back where I started. I swallowed my pride and asked Ben if I could crash on his couch for a few weeks until I found a new job. To my shock, he said no. He claimed his girlfriend Emma, 23F, wasn't comfortable with it. I couldn't believe it. After everything I'd done for him, he couldn't even offer me a couch to sleep on. I ended up having to move in with a coworker, Luke, 32M, who I barely knew. It was humiliating and uncomfortable, but I had no choice. I found a new job after about a month and got back on my feet. But I haven't spoken to Ben since that day. Now, Ben has been trying to reach out. He's left voicemails and sent texts, even showed up at my new apartment. He says he's sorry, that he made a mistake, that Emma pressured him into saying no. But I can't bring myself to forgive him. Every time I think about forgiving him, I remember all the nights I went hungry so he could eat, all the hours I worked to put him through school, all the sacrifices I made. And then I remember how easily he turned his back on me when I needed him most. Am I wrong for this? Should I give him another chance? I just can't get over the fact that when I needed him most, he chose his girlfriend over me. Part of me wants to forgive him. He's the only family I have left, after all. But another part of me is so angry and hurt that I can't imagine letting him back into my life. I've spent so long putting Ben first that I don't even know how to prioritize my own feelings in this situation. I never thought I'd be in this position. I always believed that the bond Ben and I shared was unbreakable, forged through years of hardship and mutual support. Now I'm left questioning everything I thought I knew about our relationship. Was it all one-sided? Did Ben ever truly appreciate everything I did for him? Or was I just a convenience? Someone to rely on until he didn't need me anymore? I'm lost and confused, and I don't know what to do. Any advice would be appreciated. Update 1. It has been roughly a month since my initial post, and I wish to update everyone on my circumstances with Ben. Firstly, my gratitude goes out to all who commented and provided advice. Your perspectives were invaluable in helping me understand the situation better. Following considerable thought, I chose to arrange a meeting with Ben. We settled on a neutral spot for our meeting, a quaint park from our childhood. I got there ahead of time and took a seat on a bench, feeling a bundle of nerves as I anticipated Ben's arrival. When Ben showed up, he looked terrible. He had dark circles under his eyes and seemed to have lost weight. For a moment, I felt a pang of worry, the big brother instinct kicking in. But then I reminded myself why we were here. Ben started by apologizing profusely. He admitted that he had made a huge mistake and that he regretted it every day. He explained that Emma had indeed pressured him into saying no, threatening to break up with him if he let me stay. Ben said he was scared of losing her and made the wrong choice. As he spoke, memories flooded back. I remember the day Ben got his first girlfriend in high school. He had been so nervous, and I had spent hours helping him plan the perfect first date. I had always tried to be there for him, to guide him through life's challenges. It hurt to think that he had chosen a girlfriend of a few months over our lifelong bond. Ben went on to explain that Emma had broken up with him a week after he refused to let me stay. Apparently, she had been cheating on him and used the situation as an excuse to end things. Ben said he realized then how badly he had messed up. But by that point, I was already not speaking to him. Listening to Ben, I experienced a whirlwind of emotions, anger, pity, and a persistent sense of brotherly love. Yet there was also exhaustion. I was weary of being the pillar of strength, the one who always forgave and understood. I acknowledged Ben's apology, but expressed that it didn't alter the reality of his absence when I needed him the most, choosing someone else over me. I recounted the numerous occasions I prioritized him, even to my detriment. I shared the memories of nights I starved so that he could have food, and the career opportunities I declined to remain nearby and support him. Ben, overwhelmed with emotion, wept, admitting his awareness that he could never compensate for the past. He conveyed his longing for our bond and how adrift he felt without my presence in his life. A part of me yearned to reassure him, to promise that all would be well as I had done during our childhood. Nevertheless, I restrained myself. Instead, I told Ben that I needed more time and space to process everything. I said I wasn't ready to forgive him yet, but I wouldn't completely close the door on our relationship. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, watching him walk away with slumped shoulders and tears in his eyes. In the weeks since that meeting, I've been doing a lot of self-reflection. I've started reconnecting with old friends I had neglected while taking care of Ben. I even went on a date last week, something I hadn't done in years. It felt strange but also liberating to focus on myself for once. Ben has respected my wishes and given me space. He sends a text once a week, just checking in but doesn't push for more. Part of me misses our relationship, the easy camaraderie we once had, but another part is enjoying this newfound freedom, the ability to make decisions without considering Ben's needs first. I've also been thinking a lot about our mom. I haven't spoken to her in years, not since I moved out with Ben. Part of me wonders if I should reach out, try to mend that relationship too. But then, I remember all the pain and struggle, and I'm not sure I'm ready for that. As for the future, I'm still uncertain. I don't know if Ben and I will ever get back to where we were. Maybe we shouldn't. Maybe this is an opportunity for both of us to grow, to establish a healthier relationship built on mutual respect rather than dependency. For now, I'm taking it one day at a time. I'm focusing on my new job, on building a life for myself that doesn't revolve around taking care of others. It's scary and exciting all at once. I'm still hurt by what Ben did, but I'm trying to use this experience as a catalyst for positive change in my life. I don't know what the future holds for Ben and me, but for the first time in my life, I'm putting myself first. And it feels both terrifying and liberating. Update 2. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some developments in my situation with Ben. Over the past few months, Ben and I have slowly been rebuilding our relationship. We started with occasional text messages, then progressed to phone calls every couple of weeks. Last month, we finally met in person again for dinner at our favorite pizza place from when we were kids. Sitting across from Ben at that familiar red checkered table, I was struck by how much had changed. We used to come here after his basketball games, me still in my work uniform, scraping together enough change to split a small pizza. Now we were both adults, ordering our own meals. An awkward silence stretching between us. Ben broke the ice by sharing some news with me. He's been seeing a counselor to work through his issues, particularly his tendency to let others influence his decisions. He admitted that he had always relied on me to make the tough choices, and when I needed him, he didn't know how to step up. As he spoke, I remembered all the times I had to be the adult in our relationship. Like the time when Ben was 16 and got caught shoplifting. I had to leave work early to pick him up from the police station, then spend hours negotiating with the store owner to not press charges. I was exhausted and angry, but I never let Ben see that. I just focused on getting him through it. Ben also told me that he's been volunteering at a local youth center, mentoring kids from troubled backgrounds. He said it's helped him understand and appreciate everything I did for him growing up. It was a bittersweet moment for me. I was proud of his growth, but it also brought up a lot of painful memories. We talked about our childhood and our mom. Ben confessed that he had always felt guilty for not doing more to help when we were younger. I explained that it wasn't his responsibility. He was just a kid, and I had chosen to take on that burden. It felt strange to finally have this conversation, to acknowledge the abnormality of our upbringing. As for me, I've been doing well. My new job is going great, and I've even been promoted. I'm seeing someone new, Claire, 26F, and things are getting serious. It's the first time in my life I've been able to focus on my own happiness without worrying about anyone else. Ben seemed genuinely happy for me, but I could see a flicker of something, perhaps regret or sadness, in his eyes when I talked about Claire. I wondered if he was thinking about Emma, or if he was realizing just how much of my life he had missed out on. Before we left the restaurant, Ben hesitantly asked if we could make this a regular thing, meeting for dinner once a month. I agreed, but with the caveat that we take things slow. We're not back to where we were before, and honestly, I don't think we ever will be. But we're building a new kind of relationship, one where we're equals, not caretaker dependent. As I drove home that night, I felt a mix of emotions. There was still a lingering anger when I thought about what had happened, but it was tempered by a growing understanding. I'm learning to forgive, not for Ben's sake, but for my own peace of mind. This journey has taught me a lot about the complexities of family relationships, about the fine line between love and obligation. I'm still navigating this new dynamic with Ben, still learning how to be a brother without being a parent. It's not easy, but I'm hopeful that we're on the right path. It's been a year since my original post, and I wanted to give a final update on my situation with Ben. Our relationship has continued to improve slowly but steadily. We've kept up our monthly dinner dates, gradually becoming more comfortable with each other again. It's not the close bond we once had, but it's a comfortable adult relationship that works for both of us. Ben has made significant strides in his personal growth. He's still volunteering at the youth center and has even started taking classes at the local university. He's studying social work, inspired by his experiences mentoring troubled youth. It's strange to see him so focused and driven, but I'm genuinely proud of him. Last week, Ben invited me to watch him give a speech at a fundraiser for the youth center. As I sat in the audience, listening to him talk passionately about the importance of mentorship and support for at-risk youth, I felt a surge of mixed emotions. Pride certainly, but also a twinge of sadness for the childhood we never had. As for me, I'm doing better than ever. Claire and I got engaged last month, and we're planning a small wedding for next spring. When I told Ben about the engagement, he surprised me by asking if he could be my best man. Despite everything we've been through, it felt right to say yes. I've also started my own IT consulting business. It's been challenging but rewarding. In a way, the whole situation with Ben gave me the push I needed to take risks and prioritize my own goals. Looking back, I realized that cutting ties with Ben, even temporarily, was necessary for both of us. It allowed me to break free from the caretaker role I'd been stuck in for so long, and it forced Ben to stand on his own 2 feet. Our relationship now is different, but in many ways, it's healthier. We're no longer bound by obligation or guilt, but by a genuine desire to be part of each other's lives. We've both learned valuable lessons about boundaries, forgiveness, and the importance of self-care. There are still moments when the past creeps up on us, like when Ben asked about inviting our mom to the wedding, opening up a whole new set of complicated emotions. But we're learning to navigate these challenges together, as equals. To anyone going through a similar situation, I want to say this. It's okay to prioritize yourself. It's okay to step back from toxic relationships, even if they're with family. And it's okay if reconciliation takes time. Healing isn't linear, and there's no set timeline for forgiveness. Last week, Ben and I visited our old neighborhood. We stood outside our childhood home, now occupied by strangers. As we reminisced about the good times and the bad, I realized how far we'd both come. We're not the same scared kids we once were, struggling to survive. We're adults who have faced our past, learned from it, and are working to build a better future. I'm not saying everything is perfect. There are still moments when I feel a flash of resentment, or when Ben gets defensive about the past. But we're learning to communicate better, to express our feelings without falling into old patterns. One thing that's helped is setting clear boundaries. I've made it clear to Ben that while I value our relationship, I'm not responsible for his happiness or success. He's learned to respect my time and my decisions, understanding that my life doesn't revolve around him anymore. As for our mom, we've decided to reach out to her together. It's a daunting prospect, but facing it as a team feels right. We're not sure what will come of it, but we're prepared to support each other through whatever happens. Looking ahead, I'm cautiously optimistic about the future of my relationship with Ben. We're planning a camping trip next month, something we used to dream about doing when we were kids, but never had the chance. It feels like a new beginning, a chance to create positive memories together as adults. Thank you to everyone who has followed my story and offered support along the way. Your advice and encouragement have been invaluable in this journey. It's been a long, difficult road, but I feel like I finally found a balance between being a brother and being my own person. And for the first time in a long time, I'm excited about what the future holds. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed our stories and would like to hear more, please consider subscribing to our channel. Your support helps us continue bringing you captivating tales and new content every week. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. We appreciate every one of you for being a part of our storytelling journey.